In Java, you can have three types of errors. The first would be syntax errors, the second would be runtime errors, and the third would be logic errors. Let's take a look at a quick example of each. So in syntax error, it's basically not following the structure of how it is expected when it's compiled. So for example, if I remove this double quote from the string, you can see that a little red squiggly line appears, and it's going to tell you, at least in Eclipse, to insert the missing quote. But if I try to run it, it'll also tell me string literal is not properly closed by double quote, and it's going to tell you the line number. So here it's on line 10. Let's fix that error. And there it ran, and we fixed the first syntax error. Now let's try to run a runtime error. Runtime error is something that's not detectable by the IDE, basically. You can only detect it when it actually runs. So let's say we wanted to here we're dividing 10 by 2. Let's say you want to divide 10 by 0. Let's try to run that. And it tells you, okay, in line 13, we have an exception. And the exception is that you were trying to divide by 0. So let's fix that. 10 divided by 2. And we get the 5. The final error is a logic error. Basically, it's maybe something you didn't catch when you were writing the code, and the logic reads it one way when you thought it was something different. So for example, let's say you thought what you were doing first was adding 2 plus 8 and then dividing it by 2. But the way Java does it, and many other languages commonly do it, is that it first solves this problem, anything that's multiplication or division, for example, and then it does anything that's addition or subtraction. So in this case, it's going to divide 8 by 2, which is 4, and then add 2, which is 6. But you were expecting a 5, because what you wanted to do was 8 plus 2, which is 10, divided by 2, which is 5. So let's try to run it here. As you can see, it thinks it's 6. The way to fix that is you put these open and close parentheses. Try to run it again. And now it's 5, as expected. So what it's doing here is it's first solving this problem, and then it's going to divide it. And that's an example of each of the errors: the syntax error, the runtime error, and the logic error.